Today, I'm going to be ranking what is, in my opinion, the top 5 best beat-em-ups on the Xbox 360. Now, for today's video, I'm only going to be considering games that originate on the 360 or in the 360 era, so no ports or remasters. Timestamps down in the description. The first game on today's list is Final Exam. This one is a pretty decent game, but I do feel like it was largely designed with co-op in mind, but I don't have another player, unfortunately. And if you look at the old promotional material, the co-op features were pretty heavily pushed, and just with the way that this game is, you can certainly tell it wasn't exactly designed to be played on solo. Now, of course, you can play it solo start to finish, which is how I played it, but this one definitely seems like it would be better with another person. As for the main campaign mode, this is a shorter game and you can beat it in 4-ish hours. And for a side mode, you do have a time attack survival mode where you have to survive in a room for 7 minutes against waves of monsters, which in this game is a bit harder than it sounds. Now, the story itself for this game is overall pretty decent, and canonically, this is the third and final game in the obscure horror series. Admittedly, I'm not really sure how that happened because Obscure 1 and 2 are third-person survival horror games, and this game was initially supposed to be called Obscure 3, but apparently there was massive fan backlash and the developers renamed this game to Final Exam, but canonically this is the last game in the Obscure horror series. Now, this game has 4 playable characters, all of which are pretty different. You know, they have different stats and different special moves. I usually played as Brutal Joe, the football player, as he is more or less a juggernaut. Now, admittedly, this game can be a little repetitive, and it is surprisingly hard, but again, it's only 4-ish hours, so you will beat the game before it starts to get too old. Now, this game does have several cool boss fights and lots of normal enemies, quite a bit of enemy variety, and this game also has quite a bit of weapon variety. Now, for every level, you get to make your own loadout, and you get to choose a melee weapon, a gun, and a grenade type. I personally really like the sledgehammer, the shotgun, and this kind of grenade where you throw it, it explodes into 3 smaller explosions, but you do have a lot of weapons to choose from. Now, this game was digital only and is not backwards compatible, but it was overall a decent game, and I only paid $5 for it. This game does have a pretty good soundtrack, and the cartoonish graphics are pretty good. Not the best beat 'em up out there. This is a pretty average 7 out of 10 game, maybe a little bit above average. It's not the best thing out there, but hey, it is the number 5 spot on today's list. Alrighty, moving over to the number 4 spot, something that is much better in my opinion, and that is Unbound Saga. This is a short, fun, and straight to the point, 2 to 3 hour long beat 'em up, and it has a pretty funny story with a lot of references to other media, a lot of good jokes, and breaking the fourth wall. Now, apart from the main story mode, this title does offer a pretty cool survival mode, and you can play this game locally and online with another person, with 2 achievements being locked to multiplayer. Now, this game has 2 playable characters, Rick and Lori, and this is possibly a reference to The Walking Dead. If I remember correctly, the main character of that show was named Rick and his wife was named Lori, so again, possibly a reference to that. And the 2 characters are certainly pretty different if you ask me. Rick is pretty much a slow juggernaut, while Lori is a lot faster and a lot more nimble, but she has less health. And on solo, you can swap between the 2 characters at any time. In my opinion, Lori is a lot better, as she can heal herself, which basically gives her unlimited health, versus Rick, who has to rely on health drops and siphoning health from enemies, which is time consuming and leaves him vulnerable. And of course, on multiplayer, one player is Rick and the other is Lori. Now, this game has pretty simple combat, which consists of a lot of button mashing, and while you can learn combos, button mashing is so effective, there's really no reason to mess with learning combos. Now, I should note that this game does have a stamina system in which you have to use stamina to attack, but you can upgrade your stamina regeneration to pretty much make it infinite. And you use upgrade tokens to get upgrades, and you find upgrade tokens just scattered around the levels, and they are usually dropped by bosses. Now, overall, this is a pretty easy game. I recently beat it on the max hard difficulty, and I died maybe once in the entire game, so this is a pretty simple game if you ask me. Now, thankfully, this game does have online leaderboards, which are still up to this day, which is pretty cool. Also, whenever you buy this game, it comes with not one, but two really cool avatar awards. This game is $10, it is backwards compatible, definitely worth checking out. And as a little bit of a bonus, there's a Duke Nukem reference at one point. As someone who's a big Duke Nukem fan, I obviously have to point this out, and also this game is really easy to 100% with the achievements, so if you were looking for a quick game on Xbox 360 to just get all the achievements on, Unbound Saga is certainly one to pick up, and is the number 4 spot on today's list. Alrighty, moving over to the number 3 spot on today's list, the Dishwasher Dead Samurai. This is a very impressive game that was made by one man, James Silva, and this is a pretty tough game, especially on some of the harder difficulties and when you're new to the game and you are just trying to figure it out, but this game is a blast and is 100% worth putting the time into it to get better at it. And this is what you might call a quote-unquote pure Xbox 360 exclusive, as this game was only ever released on the 360 and is not backwards compatible, meaning in order to play it, you have to have a actual 360. Now, before somebody says, oh, well, I can just emulate it on PC. From what I've read, just due to how this game was coded, it has to run on a Xbox 360. Apparently, lots of people have tried to emulate it, and it is just seemingly impossible. And I also read that James Silva, the developer of the game, has tried to port it to PC, and he says it is a very challenging, near impossible task. So in order to play this game, you basically have to have a Xbox 360. Now, gameplay-wise, this is a very fast-paced 2D hack-and-slash beat-em-up with a lot of tough enemies, and there is quite a bit of enemy variety in this game. You have like SWAT dudes, robots, zombies, bosses, and much more, and this game has a great story with a great ending, and you have a lot of really cool weapons at your disposal. For example, you have a chainsaw, you have guns, and you have these really neat teleporting shift blades, which you can use to teleport around a room, and you definitely need to learn how to use these. They are very helpful, definitely cool weapons. Now, one thing that really makes this game stand out to me is the amazing heavy metal soundtrack, which can be downloaded for free on Bandcamp. And this title has some really neat Guitar Hero-like sections where you can just pick up a guitar and jam out, and basically you will be shown a pattern on screen and you have to match that pattern with the buttons on the controller, and it's really cool to just take a break from the action sometimes and jam out on a guitar. Now, apart from the main story mode, this title does have a challenge mode which can be played on local co-op, and this game also has a practice mode, and there was some sort of a online only mode, but it has been shut down, so no comment. Now, this game has a amazing, dark, demented, hand-drawn cartoon art style, which just looks amazing in my opinion. I grabbed this game right before the 360 store shut down. Unfortunately, it was digital only, but it was 100% worth buying and playing, and also this game even came with a really cool gamer pick. Now, this game can be a little laggy at times, but nothing major, just a little bit of lag every now and then, especially if a lot is going on at once. Now, this game has a pretty interesting upgrade system in which you have to find a guitar pick, and then you have to use that guitar pick and money to buy upgrades, such as new moves or a HP boost. I'm not really sure what the idea here was, as these guitar picks can be pretty hard to find, but you certainly have to choose your upgrades pretty wisely. This is not my fave beat 'em up on today's list, but is the number 3 spot, and it is still a great game. Alrighty, moving over to the number 2 spot on today's list, another game made by James Silva, aka Ska Studios, and that is Charlie Murder. Now, this game is amazing, and it has 5 playable characters with unlockable variants. And if you count those unlockable variants, you technically have 10 playable characters. And this game supports up to 4-player co-op. Now, every character is pretty different. They all have their own special abilities and powers. I'm not sure if I have a favorite character, but Kelly, the girl, would certainly be a candidate. Now, this game has really super duper fun combat. You know, you have your basic punches, heavy attacks, special moves, and you can even grab an enemy and throw them into environmental hazards. And this game has a ton, and I mean a ton, of weapon variety. I mean, we're talking things like swords, guns, knives, baguettes, cabbages, car tires. If you can pick it up and hold it in your hands in this game, it is a weapon. Now, this game has a very, and I mean a very deep emotional story with 2 endings, and both of the endings, well, they possibly made me a little teary-eyed. Now, of course, this game has a good ending and a bad ending. The bad ending is very sad, and the good ending is very happy. And the good ending is a lot of extra work to get the good ending, but it is well worth it. And also, this game has not 1, but 2 new Game Plus modes, kind of like Arkham Origins. And Charlie Murder is a very replayable game, what with the 5 playable characters, the multiple endings, and the multiple New Game Plus modes. I keep coming back to this game over and over again. It is very replayable, and also this is a open world game. Now, that being said, the open world is pretty small, but it still exists, and this game has a amazing, beautiful art style. The graphics look great, and also the soundtrack is pretty good as well, and it can be downloaded for free on Bandcamp. And similar to the Dishwasher Dead Samurai, this game also has some Guitar Hero-like sections where you play music by matching patterns shown on screen. This game is just very, very fun. It is simple fun, and this game has a ton of enemy and boss variety. You'll fight things like witches, ninjas, zombies, pirates, and much, much more. This game has a lot of cool side content. Charlie Murder is a great game. Now, unfortunately, the online services for this game were shut down pretty recently, so you can no longer play this game online or access the leaderboards, which really sucks, especially when you consider that this game has a online-only achievement. Thankfully, I got that achievement before it was too late, but rest in peace, the Charlie Murder servers. Now, thankfully, this game did come with 2 really cute gamer picks, which are a couple of cats, and also 3 amazing Avatar awards. Now, as a bit of a side note, the good ending contained a Easter egg that James Silva used to propose to his fiancée, which was certainly very cute and cool if you ask me. Now, this game, I got it before the 360 store closed for $2, $2, very well spent. Unfortunately, this game is not backwards compatible, and it was digital only. Now, James Silva said on his blog that Xbox would not let this game become backwards compatible for some reason, which certainly sucks in my opinion. Alrighty, moving over to the number 1 spot on today's list, Splatterhouse 2010. I've been playing this game a lot recently. It is a very fun and very addictive third-person beat-em-up with some light hack-and-slash elements. Now, this is a very gruesome game, and I will have to censor parts of it and show some clips in black and white. My apologies there, I just don't want to get in trouble with this platform, as this is a very, very gruesome game with lots of blood, gore, and dismemberments. Now, the combat in this game is pretty simple. You have basic and heavy attacks, sometimes you can pick up weapons to use, you have special moves, and a rage mode. Now, as far as the weapon variety, you can find things lying around like machetes, 2x4s, chainsaws, and even a really overpowered shotgun. Now, this game has a pretty fair enemy variety and a lot of cool bosses. You basically have like fodder enemies or small enemies which can deal a lot of damage, or enemies which can only be killed in certain ways, and big brute enemies that can take a lot of damage. So again, a lot of enemy variety. Now, Splatterhouse has a pretty gruesome power meter in the form of the blood meter, which is used for special attacks, the rage mode, and refilling your HP, in which you basically absorb blood after killing an enemy, which you can use to then power your special moves, to charge your rage mode, and to refill your HP. Now, story-wise, this game has a surprisingly solid story, certainly a lot more than I expected of it. Now, that being said, the ending was pretty meh. A couple people told me that they agreed that the ending to this game was subpar, but overall the story is amazing. Now, apart from the main campaign mode, this game does have a awesome horde survival mode, in which basically you have to survive against 20 waves of almost non-stop carnage while heavy metal music plays in the background. There were 6 of these survival mode maps on disc, with a few more being DLCs, which have sadly been delisted. Now, as another bonus, I guess you could call it, you unlock the first 3 Splatterhouse games as, well, unlockables as you progress in the main campaign, which you can go and play as side modes, I guess. This is a very fun game, it is very replayable, and it even has a Xbox exclusive cosmetic mask. That being said, it has no special abilities whatsoever, but it does look pretty cool in my opinion. As far as the graphics go, this game looks amazing, and the cutscenes are beautiful, and they really do look next gen in my opinion. This game has a great rock and metal soundtrack. This game definitely excels presentation wise. Now, this game could be a little laggy sometimes, not a big issue, but something noteworthy, and also this game does have some pretty long loading screens, and we're talking like Skyrim level loading screens, you know, 30, 40, 50 seconds. This wasn't super annoying, but there were some sections where I would just keep dying over and over again, and I would be like, oh my word, I have to sit through another really long loading screen. Not a game-breaking issue, but certainly a noteworthy one. Now, this game is not backwards compatible, and it is a pretty pricey game, but it is 100% worth grabbing, and it is my personal favorite beat-em-up on the Xbox 360. And yeah, my top 5 favorite beat-em-ups on the Xbox 360. Now, of course, this is just my opinion, and if you disagree, hey, that is totally okay, and feel free to tell me your top 5 favorite Xbox 360 beat-em-ups down in the comments. And a huge thank you if you watched, especially to the end. I admit that I do not have a very good voice or a very good mic, so thanks for listening and for putting up with my bad narrations. Now, if you cannot tell, this video was unscripted. I do have some notes, but not a full script. And for those new here, I mostly review and discuss Xbox 360 games, so feel free to subscribe if that sounds interesting, and follow me on GameRam if you want hints at upcoming videos and behind-the-scenes stuff. As far as our Bible verse of the day, I read Matthew 18:20 NIV. For where two or three gather in my name, there I am with them. And like always, none of my videos are ever made by fake intelligence. Keep YouTube human and only watch man-made videos. And I never give permission for my voice and likeness to be copied and altered by robots in any way. Thanks again for watching. Have a good one. Hope y'all enjoyed. Take it easy. Stay hydrated. Peace. Now, the story for itself. Now, this game has two playable characters, Rick and Lori, and this is possibly a reference to The Walking Dead, as if I remember correctly,